Ship's log, celestial date 218.261.22. I am faced with a sea of rioters, and Harrow apparently is hypnotized in some way, and he is holding this strange orb that he stole from me out in front of him, and his eyes have rolled back in his head, and he seems like he's drooling, and all of the people here are rioting, and I think the orb is causing it, and it tried to control me. And I think I need to get to him and use this containment pod that I've created to get the orb into the containment pod and block its transmissions. And I only hope I can do that before it's too late. Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is the 40th session of this campaign in Starforged Alpha Cluster. We are with Krista, our main character. In the last session, she landed on the Reverie Station, and she met somebody named Cassidy, who is like a space traffic controller and historian, who told her that ever since Harrow got to this space station, people have been rioting and looting and kind of going crazy. And so Krista decided to make a containment field, like a container that would have a containment field in it to contain the orb. Hopefully, it will be enough to actually do that. And she's trying to get this orb back from Harrow because he stole it from her many, many episodes ago. And so she managed to get through the station, and she came to the market square, which is this is an orbital station, so it's an indoor area. It's not outside, right, because it's in orbit. But it's got like a fountain in the middle of it, and Harrow is standing by the fountain in the center of it, and it's sort of circular, and all around it are the kinds of storefronts that you would see in a market. There's a bank, and we've said it's been looted, and people are stealing credits from the bank. And there was a museum, and that's been smashed. And there was probably a restaurant, cantina, and headquarters of a corporation, that sort of thing, all in this area. And people are rioting and looting and attacking each other and kind of going crazy. It's like a mob violence. And Krista felt these waves of emotion and greed emanating from Harrow and the orb, and she managed to face danger and got a hit. She endured some stress, realized that the orb is a thing of evil that has to be contained. Now, in the last session, I said that I was going to look up how to do scene challenges because Sean has changed them, and I do want to point out how they work. So let me just go over the new rules for you because I don't think they have them listed correctly here. Yeah, so the original rule was to set up a formidable track and then give either 4, 6, or 8 segments to paste depending on how dangerous things are. But the new rule is to set up a track that is dangerous or formidable or what is it? Not epic, but the other one. And then put a 4 o'clock on it. So let me read you the actual rule. Let me pause it and I'll bring it up. All right, so here's the actual rule from the newest version of Starforged right before it went to press. When you face an extended or complex scene challenge, name your objective and choose the rank appropriate to the situation. If you have clear advantage, troublesome. If you're ready to act, dangerous. If you're unprepared, formidable. And then do a 4-stage tension clock. So that is the new rule. And I was going to do that with the orb. But I think, as I was thinking about what's likely to happen, is Chris is going to have to fight her way through the mob, trying not to kill anybody, using her stun gun. They might attack her. They might try to trip her up. They might try to grab her and stuff. And she's going to then have to fight her way there and probably fight to some degree Harrow to get the orb. And so I feel like this is actually a combat. So this is a combat, but with a tension clock, right? If the clock runs out, that orb is going to re-exert its control over her as she gets closer, right? She is going to have to, when the clock runs out, right? We're going to have to roll the completion of the battle at that point. And so I think that that's the way that works. Once the clock is filled, the deadline triggers. This should result in harrowing problems for your character. It may force you to abandon an expedition, a fight, a vow, or another challenge. So I think what's going to happen is when this clock hits 0, we're going to run it like a scene challenge, or we're going to roll progress, right? And if we don't have the upper hand, right, Chris is going to have to dive for this orb anyway. If she fails, the orb is going to take control of her too. And then what I've been thinking about all along, ever since we found this orb, might happen. But I don't want to give any spoilers away. So I do want to sort of keep that a little bit of a secret. We'll see what happens. So we're getting ready to run a battle. I want to just make a couple of announcements. One thing I do want to mention is that having some family issues, and I may be required to leave town relatively suddenly for a week or so. If that happens, I do not have time, like I did when I was going visiting and I had a ton of advance notice. I do not have time to make a series of pre-made videos. So it may be that this video or the next one may be the last one you get for a week or two before I come back. And if that happens, don't worry that it's stopped. We're not going to stop this until I say it's stopped. And like I said, I'd like to get to at least 50 episodes. And then after that, we'll just see where we're going. One thing I do want to do is try and get some more of this background vow done. So I'm going to leave the probability where it is, but I think each time now we explore a waypoint and get a hit, depending on the context of the hit, we may find a star. Like if it's a stellar object and we explore a waypoint and we get a strong hit, maybe that'll advance this one track as well. We'll see how that gets. I would like to get this thing progressed, and we'll see what happens. So she's going to have to get to him. So combat begins. So she pulls out her stun gun, and she's carrying the container like it's got like a handle on it. She's carrying the container box with the batteries that she's rigged up to set up the containment field once the thing is inside in one hand, and she's got her stun gun in the other. And she needs to try and make her way to Harrow, and so she's going to enter the fray. And so we're going to begin by entering the fray. And so we are, I think, facing off against the foe, right? So we're rolling heart. This is her courage. We only have 2 momentum. It's always very dangerous to get into combat when you don't have a lot of momentum, but we just kind of don't have a choice. So I don't think we have any assets that are going to help her here, right? Because this isn't Lore Hunter or anything like that. So we're just going to roll heart, see what happens. Oh boy, we enter the fray with a weak hit. We can take +2 momentum or be in control. I think we'll take the momentum, and we're not in control. So Krista says, make way, and she tries to push her way through the crowd, and they turn on her, and they say, she's one of them, and they just, like, they're with crazy eyes, and they're, like, staring at her, like, completely insane and with this wide-eyed, and they just start reaching for her and coming after her. And so she is going to react under fire, and she looks around, and she sees that there's a table and some chairs, and she's going to dive under the table and try and get out of the way and hope that they, like, run past her. They're not super aware, right? Because they're kind of in some sort of hypnotic control. So they come at her, and she dives under the table and she's going to try to go, like, under the table legs and then come out the other side. And hopefully since they're trying to go, say, to the north side of it, she's going to come out the south side and put the table in between her and them. So she's reacting under fire. And so this is with dodging, right? Maneuvering. So we're going to roll edge. And we get a strong hit. So we succeed and take control and get +1 momentum. So she succeeds. She runs out from under there, and she kicks the 2 chairs sideways as she goes and jumps out from under there. And as they come around the table, they trip. Some of them trip over the chairs, and then they turn and start, like, fighting with each other because, again, they're these half-crazed people. And she turns, and she's going to look for Harrow and see if she can find him and figure out where he is. Is he in the same place where he was before? And she's going to try to gain ground. So she's in pursuit. I think, right? Yeah, so she's in pursuit, so we're going to roll edge. So she's going to look for Harrow and see if she can find it. Or is this studying the situation? I think she's studying the situation, actually. So we're going to roll wits. And we get a strong hit. We stay in control, and we choose 2. Mark progress, and take 2 momentum. So we finally get some progress. She gets a little closer to him. She sees where he is, and she kind of goes around the fountain and dodges a couple of the people who were rioting. And she sees some people trying to rip up the bench, and she waits until they rip up the bench, and they turn and they hurl it at the window of an intact store. And she jumps past where the bench was and splashes through the fountain and heads toward Harrow. And now she is going to. So as she does this, she sees some of these other rioters nearby, and she's going to take out her. She's got her stun gun, and she's just going to go blam, blam, and shoot at them and try to stun them and get them out of her way. And this is a strike. So we're striking, and she's doing it at range. So rolling edge, and we get a strong hit. We mark progress twice. So she hits both of them, blam, blam, and they get out of her way. And now she's getting closer to Harrow. But as she approaches, she sees that he is sort of walking away from her, and she's going to have to try to find a way to trip him. So as she comes around the fountain, she splashes out of the fountain, and she comes toward him. She is going to grab a chair and hurl it at him and try to knock him down. I'm sort of thinking of the scene in The Mummy where Brendan Fraser sees his friend Benny, who's working with the mummy, and he takes a chair and like hurls it at him and knocks him down. So that's what she's trying to do. She's hurling it at him, trying to knock him down. Is this a strike or gaining ground? I think this is another strike. So she's assaulting him. So this is edge. And we get, oh boy, a complication and pay the price. So first of all, we get a tick. But we also get a complication. So she takes, I think what happens is she hurls the chair at him, and she hits him, and he drops the orb, and it goes rolling along, and a different person sees it and picks it up and lifts it and holds it up, and sort of his eyes roll back in his head, and he starts like murmuring in this strange language that Chris has never heard before, even with all of the experience she has with pyro and weird languages. And he holds it up, and 2 other people come, and they're touching the orb, and their eyes roll back in their heads, and now we have 3 people holding onto the orb. And she's going to have to get it away from all of them. So at this point, Krista is going to, what is she going to do? These 3 guys have the orb. Is she going to have to shoot them all? Well, all right, so we have to pay a price. So let's pay a price beyond the tick, because it's a complication. So let me think about that. Let's try rolling a story complication and see what happens. 2 seemingly unrelated problems are shown to be connected. Okay. The gamma ray didn't get out of here before Krista arrived. It just arrived now. And with all the chaos going on in the station, they have not had time to take countermeasures against this thing. So the gamma ray appears, and it launches out with its gamma ray burst, which maybe it's doing to like detect predators or whatever. And the gamma ray burst blasts through the station, and all the lights go out, all the power goes out, and everything turns pitch dark. And Krista can't see a thing in here. Then the emergency lights come on, and it's very dim in here. And Krista is going to have a lot of trouble seeing. And She's got to look and see, where the heck did the orb go? Everybody's screaming. There's rioting going on. People are running in all directions. Can she find the orb? So this is going to be gaining ground, right? Oh, not gaining ground. Sorry, reacting under fire. She is looking around for the orb. So I think she's trying to find a way out, right? I don't think it's edge. Edge is for quickness, right? She's got to find the orb first before she can even get into position. So I think she's rolling with. She's looking around to see if she can see that orb, and she's got her stun gun out, and the emergency lights are on. And she can barely see anything, and she's looking to see, does she see where they've taken the orb? We get a weak hit, so we stay in a bad spot. So I think what happens is, so she does see it, but as she sees it, one of the rioters comes and tackles her to the ground. And I guess that's going to hurt. So now she's going to endure harm. Right? So she gets tackled to the ground, and like, we'll see what happens. Does she bash her chin on the ground or whatever? So this guy tackles her to the ground, and we endure harm. And we get a weak hit. We can lose momentum in exchange for 1 health. Otherwise, we press on. I think we're going to keep things the way they are. I think Krista slams her chin into the ground and bites her lip, and her lip is bleeding, and she's now like held down by this guy and still in a bad spot. So now she's going to clash with him. She's going to turn around and start kicking him, and she's going to bash at him with her with the butt of her gun and see if she can get out of his grip. And that's with iron, which is not our best stat. And we miss. So he still stays in. He's got her gripped, and these guys start moving away with the orb. They're getting away from her, and she's still like rolling around on the ground with this guy. He's like bearing down on her. He's really big and strong, and she can't get away from him. So we're gonna have to pay the price. So let's see. What are we gonna pay? What price are we gonna pay? So she's either going to get hurt, or he's going to knock the stun gun out of her hand. Oh, no, either the stun gun or the containment. So what's the more likely thing? I think the container is a big thing. It's going to be harder to knock out of her hand. So I think it's much more likely, well, it might be harder to hold it. I actually think it's going to be more likely that the container is going to get knocked out of her hand. So which thing gets knocked out of her hand? Is it the container? It is. So the containment module that she created goes clattering off, and she is struggling with this guy and trying to get him off of her. So I think she's going to try to wriggle out away from him and react under fire. And so she's going to use edge and try and just get out from, sort of twist away from him. And we get a strong hit. So we get a momentum, and she's in control. So she squirms out. And now she's got to go and grab. So she looks around and she tries to grab the containment object, the container, right? The box that she created. So she's got to pick it up. Is she able to do it, or does somebody else grab it? So she is moving using edge, trying to quickly go over and grab it. We have some momentum now, so maybe. And we get a strong hit. So she grabs it. She picks it up. We're in control. She gets +2 momentum, and we gain progress. All right. So now she sees where those guys are with the orb, and she is going to try and go blam, 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 and blast all 3 of them with her stun gun and knock them out. And what she's going to hope is that she can get the orb inside this container. So she's going to blast all 3 of them and then dive down with the container under the orb and hope it drops right in there. And because we're in control, we can make our progress move and try and take decisive action. So this is it. She's trying to take decisive action and see if she can get control of this orb. And we get a strong hit. So she goes blam, blam, blam. She hits all three of them with her stun gun. They all fall unconscious to the ground. She dives underneath the orb, and it goes inside the container, and she slams the lid shut. Now the question is this thing going to be able to contain the orb? But before we do that, let's take a look. We've completed this, and let's take a look at this. We've got the orb from him. So we gained some more progress. And so I think she's going to turn on the containment field. And let's make another progress move. Let's see, does this work? Does it contain the orb? If we get a strong hit, it contains it and everybody wakes up. If we get a weak hit, it contains it, but there's going to be some sort of complication. People are going to take a long time to wake up. There's still a riot going on, etc. If we get a miss, this orb is not able to be contained by the containment field that Krista set up. So let's roll progress. We get a strong hit. So we have completed this progress track. This is a dangerous vow, getting the orb back from Harrow. So she clamps it down, she turns on the containment field, and this glowing energy surrounds the box, and all of a sudden, all the noise stops around her, and people stumble around, and they collapse, and they kind of lose consciousness for a moment, and then everybody starts like waking up like, what happened? And she has this orb in the containment field. So we've completed a dangerous vow. And that means, we fulfilled our vow, right? Rolled progress. We got a strong hit. Dangerous, we get 2 ticks on the quest legacies. 1, 2. And Krista stands up, breathing hard, rubs the blood off of her lip, and holds this thing in the containment field. Now, Harrow is here, and if we look at connections, I feel like she definitely helped him here. I think this is going to give some progress because he was being mind controlled by this orb. Okay. So, Krista turns it. So he gets up and he's like, "Oh, what a nightmare!" And he sees her and he's like, "Jackpot? Am I still dreaming?" She says, "No, you're not dreaming anymore." And she holsters her stun gun. What happened to the lights? I don't know. Something shorted out all the lights. I think maybe we were hit by the gamma ray. The gamma ray? What? Wait a minute. How did I get here? I thought I was in the docking bay. And Krista says, "Come on, I'll help you up." And she helps him up. And she says, "I think we better get back to the hangar." And she takes him along the hallway. And people are starting to get up and clean up. And they're wondering, how did I get these credits in my hand? And why is there broken glass all over me? How come the bench was ripped up? Why are these chairs laying all over? They're completely bewildered. And as they walk back, Krista says, "What happened?" And he says, "I don't really know. I took the orb out to show it to the people in the museum, and all of a sudden, I was somewhere else." And she says, "What do you mean?" And he says, "Well, it was like I was having this waking nightmare, and I was in this battle, and I was trying to survive, and people were attacking me, and I was trying to get them to stop." And so he describes being in this bizarre nightmare scape, and the fact that he couldn't seem to get out of it. And so here, I think what we'll kind of reference, if you will, is if we go back to the Ironsworn playthrough, the very last couple of sessions, Wiglaf was trapped by an orb of nightmares. And what I had decided, I guess there's no spoilers anymore because we've contained it now. What I had decided was this is an orb of nightmares, and that um, the orb of nightmares was potentially going to trap Krista. Somebody gave me the idea in the Discord that she might end up where Wiglaf was, and she might be able to pull him out of it. And then I had this cool idea that he might end up in space now, and he might become a companion of hers, or something like that. Like when I got enough experience, I would get a human companion, and it would be Wiglaf, and she'd be like teaching him the ropes of living in outer space and stuff because he's thousands of years and millions of light years from where he started. Um, but I don't think that's going to happen now because I don't think Chris is going to be stupid enough. She's curious, but I don't think she's going to be stupid enough to take this orb out of containment at this point since she's seen what it could do, and she is smart. She has a high wits. So anyway, that's kind of the idea. Maybe we will explore this orb. I don't know what she's going to do with it. She does owe her friend, oh God, what's her name? Zephyr, a relic. And she probably will want to bring this to Zephyr to examine, but she's going to have to warn Zephyr. And maybe if a complication happens to a friend of ours or something at some point, maybe Zephyr will get taken over. Maybe this will take over Relic Station. Don't know. But anyway, this is an Orb of Nightmares. And that's what Krista's got now. She doesn't know it yet, but that's what it is. So hopefully that didn't spoilerize anything. So she takes them back to the hangar, and she's got the thing in containment. And she says, "Look, I've got it in containment, and I know some people at Relic Station." So now the first thing I want to say is, I think Cassidy, we made some progress because she just did something. It's a good favor for Cassidy, so we made some progress here. And she says, I think this should be taken to Relic Station where they have labs to examine this thing, and I don't think you want it here. So the question is Cassidy going to let her do that, or is she going to argue that this needs to be like impounded and given to Reverie Security? So let's do a... should we test our relationship? Nah, it's not a betrayal. I think this is a compel. So what Krista says is, look, I know people on Relic Station, including this friend of mine named Rowena Malik. Dr. Malik is an archaeologist and she's a xenoarchaeology researcher. She's extremely talented. She also has an assistant named Mina Savarin, who is an explorer and a scholar. And these two are really well qualified to look at this thing. So I think I should bring it back to Relic Station. And she's going to be trying to charm, and we're rolling heart. And we can get an opportunity if we burn momentum, and I think we will. So we get an opportunity. She agrees to our conditions, and we get an opportunity. So what is our opportunity? So I think, first of all, I think we get some more progress. And second of all, let's see, what kind of an opportunity can we come up with? Let's do action theme. Abandon hope? Well, that doesn't sound like an opportunity. How about descriptor focus? Settled obstacle. Okay. So a settled obstacle. Well, I mean, I think it makes sense then that we've settled this issue. Cassidy says, look, we don't want this thing on the station. You can have it. So Chris has got this orb of nightmares in her possession now, and she's going to want to bring it back to Zephyr and have Zephyr figure out how to deal with it. Meanwhile, she's got to figure out where the gamma ray is going next. So she's going to have to see if she can find out where the gamma ray is going next. So how are we doing on time? All right, so we're right around 30 minutes. So I think what we'll do is we'll see if she can... we'll see if she can figure out where the gamma ray is going to go next. So she's going to go back to her ship, and she's going to secure an advantage. right? Using her wits, expertise, and so on. And what she's going to try to do is see if she can figure out where the gamma ray is going to be next. And because remember, she's got like a pattern. And so the question is, where's it going to go? And can she figure that out? So let's start with securing an advantage. Is she able to figure out where this thing is going to go? And we're rolling wits. And we get a weak hit. So we succeed, and we'll take +2 momentum. So the next question is the gamma ray going to a system we've already been to? Now, we've been to a lot of systems, but the vast majority of this is still uncharted. So I think it's unlikely. So is the gamma ray going to a place where we already know the path to get to? Let's ask the Oracle. Unlikely? Is it? Turns out it is. So it's going to one of the existing places. So I think it makes sense if it's going around. I think it's likely the next place it's going to hit is Saffron. So what she finds out is that the gamma ray is going to hit Saffron next. And in our next episode, she's going to have to fly over there and see what she can do about trying to stop the gamma ray at Saffron. So that's going to be what she's going to do next session. But I think this is enough for now. So this worked out pretty well. She managed to get the orb, and it's been trapped. And now she's got to go to Saffron, and she's also got to go to Relic Station and give Zephyr the orb. So should we make a vow? Should she make a vow to learn the details of the Orb of Nightmares? Yeah, I think so. And I think this is going to be a formidable vow. And she's going to have to learn the secrets of the Orb of Nightmares. And so it's formidable. I don't think there's a clock on this. And now we have to swear an iron vow. So she clutches her, she's sitting in her ship and she clutches her pendant and she swears an iron vow to learn the secrets of this orb. And maybe if she actually succeeds on this, she'll find Wiglaf. So rolling heart, does she have any? Swear an iron vow to recover valuable knowledge of an extraordinary relic. Reroll any dice. Okay, and when we reach a milestone. So let's roll heart, see what we get. We got a miss, but we're going to re-roll any dice. Let's re-roll all of it because a 2 is a crappy roll. Let's just re-roll the whole thing over again. That's better. Strong hit. We're emboldened. It's clear what you have to do next. Take +2 momentum. And yeah, we're going to go see Zephyr. So in here, what I've got to note here is note. Come on, click. Note. And we get +2 momentum per milestone and +2 discovery ticks on fulfillment. And this is from Lore Hunter. Right, so that we know and try to remember. Now, I don't know what all the steps are going to be, but I do know step 1, take the orb to Zephyr. And I don't know, we're going to probably definitely need some way to safely examine it. So that means she's probably going to have to go find a bunch of crap that Zephyr's going to send her out to do. All right, so I think that's a pretty good place to stop. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been Starforged. Alpha Cluster.